This is the 2004 Ford Shelby Concept, and it is quite possibly the perfect Ford that was never made. Today we're at Curated in Miami, and we're going to take a close look around this incredible V10 monster, all the little quirks, secrets and features on this beautiful American creation. First of all, a little bit of a history lesson. This is the Ford Shelby Cobra Concept from 2004. It was nicknamed Project Daisy, and it was built as a modern interpretation of the 1960s AC Cobra, and what a fantastic job they did. It was built in time for the 2004 Detroit Auto Show, where it was unveiled by Carroll Shelby himself. We'll talk more about that later. It was a product by Ford's advanced product creation team, designed and built in just 5 months from start to finish. It was designed in California and of course built in Detroit, and all these years later it finds itself here at We Are Curated in Miami. In the early 2000s, of course, Ford's halo car at the time was the Ford GT, and this concept car shares a lot with the Ford GT. It essentially has the same aluminium chassis, except in reverse. It's got the transaxle from the Ford GT, the Ricardo 6-speed gearbox, of course, mounted on the rear axle for the perfect weight distribution with the engine up front. We'll talk more about the engine later in the video, because the engine is probably the most special bit of the car, and it even uses the suspension from the Ford GT. Despite sharing the chassis with the Ford GT, it's extensively reworked. It's 2 feet shorter in total length and a 7-inch shorter wheelbase than the Ford GT, of course giving it those iconic AC Cobra very short overhangs at the front and the back, giving you that really sporty design. The car's entire ethos is lightweightedness and minimalism. There's no ABS, there's no air conditioning, no windscreen wipers, not even a radio. And who needs a radio when the engine and exhaust sound like this? I mentioned earlier that this car is very minimalist. You might notice on the outside, no evidence of any kind of door handle. They're not hidden, it simply doesn't have them on the exterior. Instead, of course, there's no roof and no side windows. You just reach in, pull that forward, and the door opens, and first thing you can notice is lovely carbon fiber accents, as well as machined aluminium everywhere. Cobra on the sill. Take a closer look inside this car, and what a special place it is to be. Really clean design, very similar steering wheel to the Ford GT. Of course, that 6-speed manual gearbox with the H pattern painted on the carbon fiber there. These gauges are all really simple. Big red kill switch, because of course this is a concept car. Sparco bucket seats, carbon fiber backed. And then this here, this is an interesting touch. It's got 180-degree camera setup for the reversing camera and the side mirrors. So there are no side mirrors. Instead, it uses cameras, which in 2004 was quite ahead of its time. The standard to which this car is built as well is truly impressive. The way that A-pillar is a single piece of billet aluminium seamlessly goes down into that door hinge. But the fact that this isn't a production car is nuts. The fit and finish on this car is exceptional. Curated have been doing a fantastic job of making this car very well known. It's been seen all over the internet. It's been at Monterey Car Week, but wasn't its first time in the limelight. This car is actually featured in multiple racing games, including Midnight Club, Test Drive Unlimited, Project Gotham Racing, and Asphalt. And it even was driven by Ice Cube in the film XXX State of the Union. Having a look around this car's exterior, it's all very minimalist. The entire body is made out of fiberglass with lovely smooth lines, very sleek, very aerodynamic. Billet aluminium bumper accents and carbon fiber. The hood scoop gives you a little teaser of what lies underneath. We will open this bonnet in a moment. So this is a neat party trick. The front clamshell is all one piece. It opens forward and it's hydraulically operated. And over 20 years later on this concept car, it still works, and it reveals the masterpiece underneath, which is that V10 engine. So let's talk a little bit about this engine. It's a V10, more specifically a naturally aspirated 6.4 litre V10. It's believed only 3 of these V10s exist in the world. So this wasn't taken from another car like the Dodge Viper, as a common misconception. It was actually bespoke built by Ford for this project. Or rather, it was actually conceived for the 2002 Shelby GL1 concept, but that car wasn't produced either. So instead, the V10 went into this car. They used a 4th generation Ford Mustang as a test mule for it,
out there's a Mustang featuring this V10 as well, and then the final, almost production ready version went into this car, and this car works. It's been on track, it's been in films as mentioned. It really is a fully running and driving concept car. It produces somewhere between 605 and 645 horsepower, depending on what you read, 680 newton meters of torque with a red line of 6,800 RPM. It's reported to be able to do 207 miles an hour, which I can believe looking at those sleek lines. However, I wouldn't be in a rush to do that, given the fact it's got no side windows, and that's probably why Ford were reported to have limited this car to just 100 miles an hour, which is plenty fast enough. It's got double overhead cam cylinder heads fed by fuel port injection and racing derived velocity stacks, which are basically the trumpet shaped tubes on the air intake, which give it a very distinctive intake noise. It's got dry sump lubrication, which is why this oil tank is here instead of underneath the engine. This is common on performance and race cars because it allows the engine to stay lubricated even in high G-force situations, i.e. going round corners. This V10 engine is actually a modified version of Ford's 4.6 litre modular V8 found in the likes of the Ford Mustang. It essentially took the same design and added 2 more cylinders and then increased the capacity. Little fact for you as well, that Ford modular V8 was also the basis for the engines found in early Koenigsegg's like the CC8. And what that allowed was the philosophy which mirrored the original AC Cobras, and this is a direct quote from Ford: "It's a massive motor in a tiny lightweight car." And that's right, it only weighed 1,400 kilograms, thanks to things like the fiberglass and carbon fiber construction, and of course the lack of things like ABS, air conditioning, a radio, and even windows. You might also notice that enormous Carroll Shelby signature under the engine bay. This was an important project for Carroll Shelby. It's said to be the last Cobra project completed before he passed away. It was done with his input, his blessing, his name, and his approval. And finally he unveiled it at the Detroit Auto Show in 2004 as a fitting end to an amazing project.
This car came originally on slick tyres, full racing spec, because it is a little race car for the road. It's amazing 7-spoke wheel design. Crouching down low as well, you can see the transaxle gearbox poking out through the diffuser, helping this thing achieve a top speed reported to be well in excess of 200 miles an hour and a 0 to 60 time of between 3 and 4 seconds. Regarding the value of this car, it is quite hard to put a price on given there's only one in the world. However, there are a couple of things that can guide us as to what it might be worth. First of all, it was sold at a charity auction in 2017 for $825,000. It was bought by someone called Chris Theodore, who actually helped to design the car all the way back in 2004 when he worked at Ford. So I think it was really cool actually that one of the former team from the project went on to own this car. And on that topic, Ford actually rendered it undrivable before selling it, I guess for liability reasons. And Chris actually went to the lengths of restoring it and making it work again. He then sold it in 2021 at another auction for $2.4 million. After that, the team it curated approached its then new owner because they had a client that would really like to add it to his collection. So we don't know what they paid, but you can imagine it was more than that $2.4 million auction sale price. Again, on the topic of values and cost, it was said by Chris Theodore, had this car gone into production, it would have had an MSRP of $99,000, which is a lot in the early 2000s, but I think this is a genuine bona fide supercar, so actually in hindsight, pretty good value. It was also said that the reason the car wasn't put into production was because of the economic downturn at the time. I suppose Ford thought that they wouldn't be able to sell enough to turn a profit on the project, which is a real shame because it would be amazing to see these things milling around today, but at least we have this one concept car here to celebrate the project. Another quirk of this car being a concept car is this plaque that's under the engine bay and also on one of the sills. I'm guessing that this was added when the car was auctioned by Ford. Again, I think just for the sake of liability, to cover themselves, it basically says that the car is a concept car, it's for display purposes only, and is not to be used on the road, both in regards to safety and emissions, all quite normal when it comes to concept cars. So that was the incredible Ford Shelby Cobra concept car. A massive thank you to We Are Curated for letting me have a close look around this car and showing you all of its little features.